Hi, my name is Judie VanKooiman, and you're watching Life Issues. This month's show is Better Hearing Month, and my guests are Tina Marie Davern and Joan McCormack. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Joan, I'm going to start with you. What is your title?
I'm an audiologist, a doctor of audiology.
Okay, and how long have you been an audiologist?
For a very long time. It's been over 35 years.
Oh, wow. You must really love what
I love what I do. I'm really fortunate to find something that I enjoy doing.
Yeah, that's good. And what is an audiologist?
An audiologist is a healthcare specialist in the diagnosis and non-medical rehabilitation of hearing loss. So we do hearing testing and provide hearing aids and assistive devices for people.
Okay. And Tina Marie, I'm going to go with you. And what is your title?
So I am outreach on behalf of CapTel Captioning Telephones.
Okay. And what is CapTel?
So CapTel is a captioning telephone for people that are hard of hearing. It's amplified, but it also captions verbatim everything that's being said so that the individual with the hearing loss can not only hear on the phone, they can read what's being said to them as well.
Okay. And how long have you been with this organization?
I have been with CapTel for almost 5 years now.
Okay. So you must be enjoying that.
I love what I do. I really do.
Help people. Yeah. Joan, what is assistive listening devices?
So assistive listening devices are really anything that a person with a hearing loss might use to help them with TV or with the telephone, or even to hear loud alarms and fire alarms. So even beyond provision of hearing aids, there are many devices that people can use, and I think the CapTel phone is a great example of something that people can use so they can stay connected and be able to use the phone.
Okay. And what is hearing conversations?
So hearing conservation is a part of our practice where we really look to help educate people about how to protect their hearing. You know, in our society, we're still very industrialized. A lot of people have served in the armed forces. People have noisy recreation. And now we're really concerned about young people and teens listening to very loud music. So part of what we do as audiologists is to educate people how to protect their hearing using hearing protection, making sure that when you're listening under earbuds or headphones, that it's not so loud that it will damage your hearing. A good little rule of thumb that we tell kids and also their parents is to be sure that you can still have a conversation when you're listening to the music. If you can't hear someone talking near you, it's too loud.
Okay. And Tina Marie, can you describe some of the phones that are available?
So we have 4 models of the captioning telephone. We have the 2400i, which is our touchscreen model. If you look at the photo, it's actually the black phone. And so the phone is amplified. We can make it louder, but we can also adjust the tone for clarity. And then we have added features in the phone. So with the 2400i, with the touchscreen, to access those features, they would just tap the screen, not unlike they would on a smartphone or a tablet. And then we have the 840i, which is a white phone, and it's more of a classic phone in that it's more traditional. It's button prompt. So in order to get to the special features, you would have to press a button for a menu and then scroll down to select what you would want. And then we have the 880i, which is the same exact phone as the 840i, but it's for people that have macular degeneration. So it has a larger screen on it for the captions, and we can make the font size, the writing a little bit larger, and we also can change the style so that people, we can actually change the size and style on all the phones, but compared to the 840i and the 880i, the 880i, the writing can get larger than the 840i, and we have an additional style on the 880i. Then we do have a non-internet model, because the first three that I mentioned, you do need to have internet for them. The fourth one is our non-internet model, and it's just like the 840i, except it doesn't require internet. That phone, we can discuss in the future, on how you can receive that, because there's a little bit difference in the program for the non-internet phone.
Okay, great, thank you. And how is CapTel available for no cost?
So it's federally funded. It's through the Americans with Disabilities Act. So we all pay a tax on our telephone bill, and that tax actually pays for the captioning service. And then we have a certification that the individual would get signed by a healthcare professional. So their medical doctor, their audiologist, their hearing instrument specialist, a nurse can certify the hearing loss. If you're a veteran, the veteran service officer can sign, or a VA social worker can sign to certify the hearing loss. Veterans are allowed to have a layperson sign, because we do know that one of the top disabilities amongst our veterans is hearing loss. So they're able to actually have their veteran officer certify for them.
Okay, great. And what are the requirements?
So to get the no-cost phone, you do need internet access in your home, a telephone line, and a certification of hearing loss. That's all you need, which is just a signature from your healthcare professional.
Sounds very simple and
It is.
easy, especially for elderly people that don't know, what to do and everything.
Right. And then even once we get the application, we do come and install it at no cost. So it's not something that you would get in the mail and have to try and figure out on your own. We do come in at no cost and program it to your hearing and go over the features so that you're comfortable with it.
Okay. And how does someone receive CapTel?
There's a certification form, which I know you're going to show my website. You can go right onto my website and just select certification, and you can download the application, and then you bring it to your healthcare provider and have them sign it. And you can either mail it in or email it or fax it in, and all the information is right on the form. And then once we receive it, we'll give you a call.
Okay, great. Say somebody doesn't have access to the website or have internet access. Is there another way of receiving the form?
They can mail it. They can go with snail mail and mail it to the address, and it will go to Madison, Wisconsin, which is where our manufacturing plant is. And then once they receive it, the company will get it to me.
Okay. What about prior to getting the...
Oh, I'm sorry. So you mean if they don't have access to download the
Yeah,
application? Right. Okay. So they can call me at 857-218-8707 and just let me know that you'd like the application, and I'll shoot it in the mail.
All right, great. And who can certify me to be eligible for CapTel?
A medical doctor, an audiologist like Joan, a hearing instrument specialist, a nurse, a veteran service officer if you're a veteran, or a veteran social worker if you're a veteran. I'm sorry, a VA social worker if you're a veteran.
Okay, great. And I think you already mentioned what happens after I've requested a CapTel.
Yes, and I actually just remember they just added speech and language pathologists can now certify.
Oh, great.
I just remembered that. That's a new addition.
Yeah, good. All right, that's important. And Joan, what is tinnitus?
So tinnitus or tinnitus, people never know how to pronounce it, and it really works both ways.
Yeah.
It's a really common occurrence. It means that people are hearing ringing or buzzing in their ears or in their head. And we find that many people with hearing loss will also have tinnitus or tinnitus. Usually it's nothing to worry about. When you come in for an evaluation, we test your hearing and talk to you about the tinnitus, maybe check with some of the medications that you're on, go over some different medical conditions. And indeed, if a person has tinnitus and hearing loss, we often will fit them with hearing aids, and the hearing aids can reduce the tinnitus, reduce the perception in at least 80 to 85% of people. So really common symptom. People sometimes worry about it a little bit, but it certainly is worthwhile having an evaluation to learn more about it.
Great. And what are some signs of hearing loss?
So probably the most common sign of hearing loss that I see and my staff see, and probably Tina Marie as well, is people will say, well, I don't really have trouble hearing, but everyone mumbles. And perhaps it isn't that everyone is mumbling. It just seems that way to the person. So that would be one of the first complaints. And then often hearing loss often shows up as difficulty hearing in groups or background noise. When we lose our hearing, especially with aging or with noise, we lose the high pitches, and those are the consonants. So what can happen is you're not hearing the signal very clearly anyway. It sounds like mumbling. And then you're in groups or noise, which covers over the signal, and it's more difficult.
Okay. And what is the North Shore Hearing Foundation, and how do people qualify for help getting hearing aids?
One of my favorite things. So the North Shore Hearing Foundation is something that I started through my business, Atlantic Hearing Care in Swampscott. 2 years ago, we really saw a need to help people that didn't have insurance and didn't have resources for hearing aids. So I established this nonprofit, the North Shore Hearing Foundation, where people of low income are able to qualify to receive hearing aids with a very small copay, anything from nothing to $350 for a pair of hearing aids. And we also ask that they provide at least 10 hours of community service within the community as a give back. We call it the circle of giving.
That's
and
excellent.
it's been awesome. We've really only added the volunteer component in the last few months, but in the first 2 years of the foundation, we've been able to fit 50 people who honestly would otherwise have gone without. And it's something that myself and my staff just love doing. It's a very, very positive and gratifying thing to do.
And can you tell us some of the stories of
Some of the people that we've been
Yeah.
able to help.
Yes.
Gosh, there's a lot, but one of my favorites is a woman who was working. She's in her mid-80s, and you know a lot of folks are still working in their 80s. And she came in and she said she worked at a local police department, and she said, I told my boss that I was going to have to quit. I just can't hear well enough on the phone anymore. And my boss said, no, you're not quitting. We're going to send you down to the Council on Aging, see what it is we can do to help you. And because I've worked with the social workers in many of the communities, they knew about the program, and she came in and she's been able to keep her job, which is really what she wants to do. She's so happy, and she stays engaged with people.
Is there another story or stories?
A second story, well, perhaps a second favorite. One of the first people that we fit was a gentleman that had actually had hearing aids for a long time, and he needed new ones, and he really didn't have the resources. And we fit him in late October, and he came in for a checkup just after Thanksgiving. And he said, this was my best Thanksgiving ever. I could hear my grandsons. I could talk to my family. I could participate. I had so much fun. I mean, he was just so bright and happy with it.
Yeah, those are nice feel-good stories.
They are they've all been feel-good stories.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And Joan, I know that you mentioned during the show some of your contact info. Would you give us?
Sure. If people want to reach me, you can call directly to Atlantic Hearing Care, which is 781-581-1500. And then I think we're also going to put up our website, atlantichearingcare.com. And we have a lot of information. There's resources there. There's a little hearing quiz people can take or have their spouses and partners take to see if they maybe need to have an evaluation. There's information about hearing aids, and there is a connection to the North Shore Hearing website as well.
Great. All right. Tina Marie, what type of outreach do you provide?
So I go to communities, retirement communities, and do presentations. I also go to health fairs. I will go to healthcare offices and do in-services to educate the healthcare providers that this resource is available for them to provide for their patients as well. I work with audiologists directly and hearing instrument specialists. I attend conferences for the hearing professionals, for medical professionals in general. But mainly, I like to get out into the community just to make this program aware, make people aware of the program, because you can purchase the phone online, but would rather people get them for no cost, because A, they've already paid into the program. B, we want to make sure that the people that are getting these phones do have a hearing loss. So with getting the signature verifying the hearing loss means that they are going to their healthcare providers and getting that hearing screening done. And we want to make sure that the phone's getting in the correct hands. But I do like to get out into the community. I have phones put in senior centers on display so that when the seniors come in, they can come in and see them, or even family members. There are retirement communities that have my information on my phones, so that it's available if somebody's moving into the community. It's another resource available, because hearing loss does, it's known to cause isolation. And so it's to keep people connected and keep them independent. And so I do like to be within the retirement communities so that people, or even nursing homes, so that people can still call and communicate. And when you have hearing loss, the phone is very frustrating. And so by having this resource available to them, we're eliminating that frustration for both sides, the person with the hearing loss and the loved one that's calling them and constantly having to repeat themselves. Now they won't have to repeat themselves because the individual can read what's being said as well as hear.
Right. Oops. Okay, and can you give us your contact info if anyone has any questions?
Sure. So my website is listed, I believe, on the screen. My telephone number is 857-218-8707.
Okay, great. All right. And Tina Marie, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience?
I would like to share one of my favorite stories, because individuals automatically think of seniors with hearing loss. But one of my favorite stories is I got contacted by an employer asking me if the phone could be installed in an office setting. And I said, sure, as long as your HR department and IT will work with me, we can definitely, if there's a will, there's a way, right? So then I got a call that we needed to have the phone installed. And little did I know, there was this young man. He was a recent graduate from college, and he had profound hearing loss. And one of his tasks to get this job was to be able to answer the phone. And so if he couldn't answer the phone, he wouldn't have been able to get that job. And so I was able to, I get goosebumps when I talk about it. It was his first day, and I was able to go in and install the phone. And he was, the only thing, he had the disability of a hearing loss. He was very bright, college educated, and it just felt so good. And he was around the age of my boys, so it just felt so good. To leave there knowing that he had a future, that the hearing loss wasn't going to prevent him from being able to succeed in life. And so that was one of my favorite. And like I said, hearing loss doesn't discriminate. It's all ages. And the phone is for all ages. It's not just for seniors. So that's probably one of my favorite stories.
Okay, great. Joan, is there anything that you would like to share with our audience before of the show?
Well, I just want to encourage people that if they have any concerns about their hearing, they really should have it checked. It's simple, it's painless, and it's real important to get a baseline so that over the years you can continue to monitor it. Hearing loss is an invisible disability. It generally happens really gradually. People often compensate, or they try to compensate really well over time. But there are so many advances now in the digital technology of hearing aids and things like captioned phones. There's really a lot available to help people so they really don't have to struggle as much with hearing loss.
Now, I've had a hearing test myself a couple of years ago. Is it still the same? You put a headset on, right? And
you go into a soundproof room,
right,
and you put a headset on, and you listen to words, some words, you listen to some tones, and depending upon what you present with for other things, there may be a couple of extra things that we do as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's easy to do.
Yeah, right, yeah. And I've seen a machine, I think it's fairly new, where they can see inside the ear?
There's like a video otoscope where instead of just looking in with our regular otoscope, we can actually put it on the screen for you. Yeah, those are interesting.
Yes.
Kind of fun because not something you can do yourself.
No, that's for sure. You're like, really? That's what's inside
That's
my
in
ear?
there, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's all types of hearing aids, right? And
Yes, there's a huge range in hearing aids, both styles and levels of technology and prices. There's lots of different options for people.
so it just depends on the individual and how much hearing loss they have or how little that
Exactly.
they have.
Exactly. So really the results of the hearing test show, first of all, if they're even a candidate for hearing aids. And then based on talking to them about their lifestyle, what are some of the things they encounter, that helps us select. And really myself at Atlantic Hearing Care and many other providers give people a wide range of technology to find something in their budget and for their lifestyle.
And having your wonderful nonprofit helps some people.
It makes a
too.
huge difference. You know, we now say that we provide hearing aids for all. We take insurance, we do mass health, we certainly have a lot of people that pay privately, but now we make sure that really no one goes without. That was the real mission of the foundation, and it's been great.
Yeah, that's wonderful because there's so many people that are hard of hearing or hearing loss and stuff, and that's so important for everybody. I mean, that's how we get around and for noises and sounds and talking.
Oh yeah, for safety, for
Yeah.
communication.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Exactly.
I always say that it's hearing that keeps us connected to the people that we love, right? It's our hearing that allows us to communicate. And we also know that untreated hearing loss may contribute to dementia as we age, probably because it contributes to social isolation.
Okay.
And maybe folks who are not taking as good care of themselves, and there's a lot going on. So studies show that people who get well-fit hearing aids will have the same risk of dementia as people with normal hearing, but people with significant untreated hearing loss could have as much as a 40 or 50% greater risk of developing dementia.
Okay.
So I always say hearing aids are like a vitamin for your brain. It's good because it keeps
a
you
good one.
stimulated. Yeah, it's a little different.
Yes.
Yeah, a little crafty.
Yes, that's cool. I like that. Okay, I'm sorry, but that's all the time that we have. Thank you both for all you do for those in need. I'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions. Please send them to lifeissuestv@gmail.com. And remember, live each day to the fullest and celebrate life.